Hello, everyone. So, folks, today we are having our 22nd virtual meetup. Okay, before starting, a huge shout out to Browser Stack, our exclusive sponsor for all our community events and premium sponsor for our conference. Now, our first session will be taken by Bhargav. He is senior test automation engineer at Kongsberg, and he has over 10 plus years of experience.
Hey, hi Aaron. Yes, hello guys.
Thank you very much for taking out time.
Hey, hi guys. Hello everyone who are here to attend this session on Rest Assured with AssertJ. But before we begin, I would like to know how many of you have the experience with Rest Assured Java. Say one if you have experience in writing the Rest Assured API automation. Say zero if you do not have any experience in writing the API automation using Rest Assured. Let's see how many say yes. One, two, three. Yeah. Okay, I see like equal proportion. Some people do have experience in Rest Assured, they have knowledge, and some people may not have started it yet. So, okay, so let's start the session. Let me start sharing my screen. So, in this session today, we are going to see about some real time examples and also some real time assertions and also making some Pojo classes as well. Okay. So about myself, guys, I'm an automation tester at Kongsberg Digital. I have 10 plus years of automation experience. I'm also a speaker at Selenium Conference and Agile India Conference in 2022. And I'm also a featured speaker at a Test Tribe meetups in Bangalore. And I'm also one of the Browser Stack champion. I'm an occasional blogger on test automation at bhargavmurari.github.io, and I'm also certified in cloud like Azure and AWS. I worked on mobile, desktop, web, and API automations. So this is a brief about myself. So in today's session, we will start with the introduction to AssertJ and the types of AssertJ libraries, complex JSON response structures that we see in the real time, and creating the Pojo classes with Robo Pojo generator plugins, and advanced assertions with AssertJ, and some live demonstrations if the time permits to us. So introduction to AssertJ. So what exactly AssertJ? AssertJ is a library that is used for writing the assertions. So you might have heard about TestNG assertions or chai assertions in JS. So like in Java, we have Hamcrust is one of the popular assertion, and also AssertJ is also one of the popular assertion library. So there are six different. If I tell you there are types of AssertJ libraries, there are six different types of AssertJ libraries. So first one is AssertJ core. So this library is supposed to be used for data type assertions like string, iterable, stream, path, file, and map data types in the Java. And we have one more AssertJ library called AssertJ Guava for array multimap, hash multimap, range, hash table, and optional data types. And AssertJ Joda for data types like local date time and date time in Java. And Neo4j is for graph database, and AssertJ DB is for RDBMS databases like SQL Server, MySQL, Postgres, IBM DB2. So these are the like out of six, these are the five, and the sixth one is for UI testing, UI assertions for the swing. It's called AssertJ Swing. I have not added it in the slide, but it is there actually. So let's look at what the AssertJ website says about this. So if we look at this is the official documentation website of AssertJ. So there they have mentioned what are the different modules. The first one is core module for the data types like string, iterable, stream, file, and map, Guava module, Joda time module, Neo4j, DB module, and also swing module. So if we start reading this example by example, we will understand how to write the assertions using the AssertJ. So for every module, there is a different dependency that we need to download from. I use Maven, so I will show you the Maven repository for these AssertJ different libraries. So AssertJ core, So AssertJ code, Guava, fluent assertions for Java 8, Joda, and these things like a Swing for UI extensions and DB for AssertJ DB. So there are different types of libraries over here. So we just need to pick whatever is required or the best suited for our project and for needs. So in my current project, I use both AssertJ core and also AssertJ DB for database validations. Okay. So let's move to the next slide. So let's take a look at a sample JSON over here. So this is one sample JSON, and it will become complex in the real time projects. Let's say like I have a JSON to retrieve the details of a person with his name, age, occupation, and the skills. If a person can have different types of skills and different educational degrees, and can also have different employments. So now what is the things that we need to look from this is, so if a JSON has this flavor brackets, so it means like it's a single entry. So you cannot have the multiple entries inside this. If the JSON any block starts with this bracket, square bracket, then is this a list. So he can have n number of skills inside this, n number of education degrees inside the block education, n number of employments inside the employment block. So that's how you identify whether this is a list of objects that is going to be stored under this, or else it's just a one or two values inside this. Now let me put this JSON in some JSON online editor and show you how to explore this. So if I click on, if I use JSON online editor to explore the JSON payloads for the post request, put request, or else like for the responses validation, to check it manually before I write any test automation. If you click on the tree, so it will show you the hierarchy of all your JSON. So first it's like it has name, age, occupation, and then skills. It has like 3 items inside it. As I said, it is a list, so it can accept n number of items inside this. So skills has 3 items. Always the first one starts with index 0, and a person tomorrow, like he can also have one more skill, or one more skill, or the same skill can be duplicated with some details in the real time. So he has now 4 skills, 2 education items, and employment. So this can either grow or shrink based upon our testing position, or else the environment we are testing, or depends on the person. So this is one type of JSONs that we see regularly. So let's have a look at how do we write the Pojo classes for this thing. So usually what we do, so we go to any JSON, sorry, any online website, and then we ask it to create Java classes for this Pojo, for this JSON. So, and then it gives us 4 different classes actually. So one is for the skills, and one is for the education, and one is the main one that's calling it as person, and the one is for the employment item. So these are 4 different classes that comes for one JSON response. So let's see what the online also provides. So this is 4 different classes that we need to copy and then create in IntelliJ and then store it. So, so this is one way of doing it. The other way is, so if you have IntelliJ and you just go to IntelliJ and go to the plugins section inside the settings, go to plugins, go to plugins and search for robo pojo generator, okay, for this plugin. So what this plugin will do is it will give you an extra option on the package level to create the Pojo classes for the JSONs. So let's start doing the same. So I have in the SRC main Java, I'm creating a package called Pojo. And inside this, now I want to create another package called person. So inside the person, now I create a package in a Pojo class. So here, this is the extra option that we get called a Pojo, generate Pojo from JSON. So if you click this, put your JSON file, and then I use Lombok to avoid writing getters and setters. So I select Lombok and I click on generate. So after clicking on this, you will see 4 different classes that is for this JSON. So always the higher level of hierarchy, the first one will be called it as response. So we need to change it according to our requirements. I'll just rename it as person. Now, this is how you write it, but in real time, this is not how you should write actually, because in real time we may come up like we may encounter with hundreds of APIs testing, and we have to create thousands of these type of classes to test all these to create the Pojo classes for each and every API request or for the response. So the number of classes that you create keeps increasing for every type of request body and also for validation of the response body as well. So to overcome this, there is another way that I'm going to tell you. Okay, so we just saw like these are 4 different classes, and then we need to store all the 4 different classes and start maintaining it for the framework maintenance and all, and it will become hectic after some time, after you add hundreds of responses and hundreds of classes for those. A better Pojo class is writing all the Pojos here inside one single class called person. Now, how we are converting these 4 classes into one different class is you just cut the class details, like for example, skills item with @ tag, and then the education item with @ tag, and the so person is the main, right? So we just have to keep this one, and the employment item class, just cut this and put them everything inside the person class, but with a static. Okay, so this is one way of doing it. Now let's do and see what happens if we do it. Okay, just put item, an item, and the second one is employment item. The other one is skills item, because these are all the subsections or the subparts of this main class called person. Okay. And I will just delete these because these are not required to us now. Now there is only one major class, main class called person, and this won't give you an error. So because all these classes like educational item, employment item, and skills item that you are using are referencing here, and it's also a part of this class called person, so it won't give you an error. But at the time of deserialization, it will throw you an error, making saying like it's not accessible directly from the person class for the deserialization. So what you need to do is you need to make everything as static, this all the subclasses that you are writing. So all the sub ones has to be static, and the main one just has to be a normal class actually without static. So in this case, the deserialization is possible with the rest assured. So you can only reference all these things by using one person class itself, and we will see an example in the next slides. So let's look at a different type of JSON types, JSON structures. So what is the difference between the previous one that we have shown? Okay, look at the structure of this, but not the data, and this one. Okay, can anyone in the audience can tell me what are the differences between them. I'll just put a slide and give a couple of minutes to identify what structural differences. What is the difference between these two types of JSONs, but not the data. I mean, okay. So I'll wait for 30 seconds and we'll see who has commented and what are the differences that you have identified from these type of JSON structures. Okay, let's look at if anyone has answered. Okay, Bharat, yeah, Irfan, Amar Singh, Aditya, yeah. Okay, all of you are correct. Thank you for finding it out. But there is one correction. It's not an array, it's a list. Because array is a fixed size, but this is an unfixed size. You can have 100,000 elements inside it. So it's a list. No, you can also call it as array list, of course. So let's proceed by creating a Pojo class for the second one. What is the difference between this? Okay, or else we just modify the first one to make it as a list so that it accepts n number of persons. Okay, so what I just need to do is, this is one different kind of response that we can see in the real time. So I just put this square brackets in the beginning and end, and then I create one more nested thing here for a different person. Okay, and then if I click on the table, so I see the difference. So previously, I'll show you in this one. This is current, and this is previous. Yeah, so this is current one, and this is the new one that we modified. So it's a list of JSONs where, so this is a single person, like the JSON for a single person details where we can fetch, and this is like a different response will have a multiple elements. So it can be like 100% detail, like let's say like in the real time you are trying to get all the customer details, or else the details of billing status for all the customers or something. So you can see something like this: either it starts with an array, or else with the array list, or else like you start with a single JSON response, and inside it you can have multiple lists like this. So both are valid. Now what do we do with this? Okay, how do we write a Pojo class for this? And this is a little tricky than how you write for this, even by using the robo Pojo generator. So let's say I take this one, and then I go to pojo.person, and then let's say like I try to create a Pojo again. Okay, and then I click on generate. As expected, I get so many JSONs depending upon the class. And the first one is like the main one always will be referred as a response in the Pojo generator, but we can just change it. Let's say like person detailed list. Okay, and as we did previously, we need to cut this and then put inside this and response item, and also cut the skill item, and also the employment. Okay, so if I just delete this unwanted now, and the next rule is to make them static. Okay. So now this is the Pojo class for the JSON responses that starts like an array, which has an array of array list of items. Okay. So now, how many of you think that this is the right way of creating the Pojo classes, because it also has a list of response items, the person details that it gives. So, and we can just deserialize using this. How many of you think this is correct? Please comment me in the comment section. You guys think this is correct, or it is a wrong way of doing it for the second one? I think everybody is in doubt now whether we are doing it right or wrong. So let me explain you why it is wrong. Okay. So when you start doing the deserialization in let's say, like, let's take an example of rest assured. Okay. Given uh, let's say like URI. Okay. And do like when get. Okay. Let's say like my endpoint is person, get the person or persons, because this is an list of other things. Okay. And then dot extract dot response. Okay. Plus detail list dot class. Okay. So now as I have extracting the response, response, and then one more method is there, dot as. Type is person detail list class. Now I need to store it in a variable. So obviously the return type of this response will be, yeah, deserializing it. So it's person detailed class space JSON response. I'm taking it into a variable called JSON response body equal to. So this is the method, but this will obviously fail for the second one. But if we take it the first one, let's say like a person, and I'm getting the person as class, but this will definitely pass. Okay, because this is not an array list, it is not starting as an array list, but the second one is definitely starting as an array list. But what is the difference between these two, and why programmatically this will fail? Because, so let's take it the person first one. Okay, so you're directly referencing to the top level of the class called person, and when you start deserializing it, so what Java will do is it will start with this bracket, flower bracket, and then it starts with all the person details like name, okay, name, age, and all. It starts writing like this. Now we followed the same process for the second one. Now, but the problem here is we are referencing it to person detailed list actually. So here we are referencing it to person detail list. Now what Java will do here is, as usual, it starts with this flower bracket and ends like this, and then it's a list of response inside this, like a person one, person 2, etc. Now, technically, this is a wrong format of JSON. Let's just see that as well. So as Java says, so we need to put this one more flower bracket on top of this, and also on the bottom of this. So it says like he has expected this square bracket at the line number 2 column 1. So there is an error with this. This is a wrong format of the JSON that Java is converting it. So to avoid this situation, what we need to do is we just need to delete the list of response item from the response, and then also cut the response item class, and then put it under the person detailed list. And then what we need to do is we need to take the person details as a list of person details in the rest assured. Okay, and then that's not enough. You also have to store it as a collection and then send it to the person detail list. So collections dot singleton list, and then your entire pose or the rest assured request go inside this. So now this is the right way of deserialization when it if it starts with a square bracket. It's like if it is an array list of items. Now you don't have to follow this process if there is any array list inside your JSON, but you only have to follow and remember these rules when it starts with this kind of uh, JSON response itself. I hope everybody understood it. Yeah, thank you, Akshay. Okay, so now moving to the next slide. Okay, so I just wrote the same thing as I have explained. Okay, we just saw like how what is the way to collect receive the above response by using collections dot singleton list and then the list of response item. And let's look at into some special assertions. So now okay, now I have these things like now I have a rest assured class which will give me the items and all, but how can I do the assertions in the real time? What kind of situations that I might fall by validating in the response that has thousands of items? Okay, now some important things that I would like to tell you that is useful in your work is there are some methods in the AssertJ assertions, not other rest assured, sorry, AssertJ, called filtered on, all satisfy, any satisfy, and contains any of. So let's say like this is a person example as we have seen. Now I have the person class like this. Now I'll just revert it back to person. The first JSON response that we have seen. Oh, sorry, we didn't write it as person class input. Person space JSON response. Okay, now I have this person class. Now in the real time, you might end up with validating something like this actually. Now, where a person called John Dee, has a skill Java, Python, JavaScript, and he can have the multiple skills along with this like JavaScript 1, JavaScript version 2, and then version 2 he could be an advanced guy. In the version 1, he could be a beginner guy. Now, in regular, how do we write this assertion? Is you as now you have read the JSON response. Now you go with the for loops usually. Let's try to do that in the old fashioned way. Okay. So let's say like uh, first of all, I want to find out how many skills he has. So now the question is, does validate John Doe has a skill Java 13. So this is what I want to validate in my API response. So this is one of the test case, and he should have one skill called Java 13. So okay, this is my response. Now how what I do is, as I know what is the JSON response or the class that I have created. So list of education skills is a list. So now first I take the length. Okay, length space skills length equal to, oh sorry, it's an integer, not the length, equal to JSON response dot, okay, get skills dot size. Okay, now for of int I equal to 0, I less than or equal to skills length I plus plus, and then I check like I assign a variable, one more variable int or else like boolean uh, has a skill Java 13 equal to false. Start with false. Okay, and then for int I equal to 0, if of, okay, JSON response dot get skills dot get of I starts with 0 and index dot get name, okay, which gives me the name of the skill. Oh sorry, so get name. Now here string skill name equal to, I take this variable like all the skills one by one into the name. If of skill name is equal to, let's say like Java 13 is what I want to validate. Okay, has has a skill Java 13 equal to true. So this is my program, the very old-fashioned way. So of writing this, okay. So where I have to take a for loop and then calculate the length of the skills and then check whether if the skill name has Java 13 or not. Oh, sorry, it's a dot equals ignore case. Sorry, I keep switching between Java and TypeScript, so it's a bit confusing always for me. The equal to sign and then equal ignore case and all. Okay, so this is the old-fashioned way, and it also decreases the readability of your code, and you also have to spend more times in writing more lines of code, and the readability of your code also hampers with this. Now, how to avoid this kind of situation by using the rest assured? Sorry, by using the AssertJ. So as I said, there are some important things in the in the AssertJ that we will need to learn is filtered on, all satisfy, any satisfy, and contains any of. So let's take a look at what these examples means. So first of all, let's look at any satisfy where I want to validate. Okay, let's start with assert that API response dot get education means all his educational skills are a list, and then we get a method called dot any satisfy. So and then this is the lambda function again. You have to refer each and every item inside this array list. You can just take anything, like you can also take as P person education or ABCD or your name. You can refer it with any name inside this, and then you see this lambda function called arrow mark towards your right hand side, and then you write the assertion in, okay, an assertion inside another assertion that process it as a list again. Assert that person education, because you are referencing with the name called person education dot get degree is equal to btech. So which means like if he has 10 educational qualifications or 100 education qualifications, I only want to verify if either one of them is a btech or not, if he has that education or not. So any satisfy is what we want to add, and then we can just continue it like this with another any satisfy for get institution from bits pilani. So where I wanted to validate if he has done the btech engineering from the bits pilani or not. So it has to any satisfy this one first whether he has a btech, and the second one it has to satisfy whether it is from bits pilani, if he has from bits pilani or not. And there is all satisfy. Okay, now I want everyone in the JSON response. They has to be they should have the degree BTech, and they should be passed from the BITS Pilani campus itself. Now I write all satisfy instead of any satisfy. So for the every list item inside that we get from education, everything has to satisfy that it they should be from they should their degree is equal to btech and their institution is equal to bits pilani. So these are the two important methods that will decrease the more lines of code and the for loops that you write while loops, and then taking the booleans, initializing the booleans, the strings, and then the integers for calculating the length of these lists and all. So this just one assertion does all the job for you. And there is also one more thing. There is we can also combine any satisfy and also all satisfy. So let's say like I'm taking get education again, and everything has to be everybody. Now this is a different kind of response. Let's think like this: different persons has the engineering, but they did from different campuses. Okay, and but I want to find out if any one person in the list of person responses that I get has they did from the bits pilani. So I do all satisfy has to be btech, and there should not be anyone outside this. Then assertion should fail, and any satisfy. So any one person should be from bits pilani and btech. That's fine. I just wanted to assert that. So this is how you do it. And also contains any of, let's say like I wanted to verify if a person all the responses, like all the, let's say like I get the details of 1,000 persons who has applied for the job. If I do the dot get applicants, then I get different kinds of degrees like btech, mba, mtech, or else like hospitality. Now for my job I want to validate whether the candidates who has applied, it should be only from, they should be, I need to validate whether the application is only accepting from the these options called btech, mtech, or mba. Then I do all satisfy first, and then dot contains any of. So previously we are using the methods like is equal to btech and is equal to bits learning. Now I wanted to verify whether they have any one of these values called this. I use this method called contains any of btech, mtech, or mba. Now this assertion does the job for you. Okay, and the other complex requirement you get is you need to filter based upon the persons that you get, and then you only have to verify whether all these things are from the are satisfying a condition or not. Then you also have one more option called filtered on. Okay, this filter on is very similar to the lambdas, so the streams filtered on. So okay, so this is same as that, filtered on, and then you are filtering whether the institution is equal to NIT, and only the people from the NIT should have any one of this degree. Okay, so filtered on and all satisfy and contains any of, all combined. So this is one complex requirement that we see in everyday tasks. So yeah, that's it, guys. So if anyone have any questions, now it's time for Q&A. I hope you all enjoyed the session and learned something new.
Bhargav, you have one question.
was the question?
Yeah, just
Serialization or deserialization, Java 14 has introduced record clause which has made the work easy. Yeah, kindly look. Okay, so for deserialization and deserialization, now here the problem or what I have seen with Java 14 is, so we are doing the deserialization using the rest assured itself, but not we are using any Java records methods actually. But maybe for the serialization, well, we want to build the POJO response for the post and put calls. Records is definitely useful, but in the examples that we have seen where you just wanted to deserialize it, I don't think it's that useful to upgrade it to Java 14 just for the records purpose. But it depends upon the project requirement and how we are following the standards and codecs. So that's up to us.
one more question. How to start learning API testing from scratch?
Okay, maybe the very first step is purchasing one of the course from TestTab. It's a very good one. I also have registered and seen it last month. It's a very good one. So that's a very good big, step number one.
Yeah, one more question in the Q&A section. How does RESTassure complement functionality of REST assured for API testing?
Complement functionality of RestAssured. I'm not sure what this is. Can you give me any link what exactly this complement functionality is, or give me some more insight about what exactly is this? But at the point, I'm not sure what is complement functionality of AssertJ.
Next question is, what does it mean by fluent assertion?
See, fluent assertions is, I believe that it's a name which says like you can read what you are asserting. In the previous first example of old Java, where we are initializing an integer variable called length, and then you are taking it into a string, and then you are doing an if condition, boolean, and all. So that's not the assertion that you do it fluently. Means whoever reads your code, it's not readable in the first line itself. They have to it's not readable format. So fluent is something means like how you can read it, like let's as the example is shown, like contains any of, all satisfy, any satisfy. So like this, that's what the fluent assertions I mean.
Okay. Hopefully that answers your question.
The next
One,
question: potential
one,
challenges to be aware of when working with rest assured for it.
yeah.
See, as I said, like these are some of the challenges that you get in the real time to validate some things on the response. So automating it is just like the regular automation you do. And another challenge that you face is like as I shown, instead of having n number of POJO classes, you just put everything inside one and make the subclasses as a static. So this is one of the challenge. If you don't follow this process, then you will end up having hundreds and thousands of classes for your entire API automation project.
I think
Unknown
unknown problem.
properties. Unknown properties, you mean like there should not be any property with this name, with something like that, Suraj? Okay, so first of all, like when you are creating a POJO class, let's say like person education skills, and then his you also have put like programming skills one as an array class, educational skills as an array class, and then inside the person. So let's say like you wanted to validate if he has a cars and also a subsection called cars, what are the cars that he has won, and you want to validate it, then that is not possible because that itself is not part of your POJO class. So while referencing with the variable API response, which has the return type as person, you won't even see that method called cars because it's not defined on your POJO class. But the problem here is it will also fail because it does not know what is cars means. It says the rest assured says like while deserializing this one, I found a new property that is not defined or unknown. It's called as an unknown property called cars, and then there itself it fails. It won't even go to assertion in the next step. In the deserialization itself, it will fail.
Perfect. I think we answered all the questions that we had done in the session on time. Thank you very much, Bhargav, for your time. I'll see you in the coming week.
Yeah, sure.